Yeah, hello guys, Lukman here, alias Igama Elkon. Yeah, oh Lord, today was a very difficult day because I wake up so late and I was late to send my son to school, but I managed to catch up with the time because I find a way to make him eat in the car and send him quickly to the school. But anyway, I come back home and I wrote some article for my company. So then I finished posted those articles online. I'm so happy. But while waiting, I was looking online and watching some video, watching some other Maya video and other guys' videos about African American. So I come across these videos that people saying some African American are saying that they are not African, and I don't know, they are saying that they are not African and this and that. But I just want to tell you guys something. Those African descendants that live abroad and the diaspora that believe that they are not African. In this entire world, I believe that, if I'm not mistaken, the only race that denying the identity is African. You can never see a Chinese, even though his ancestors traveled to the US for maybe 400 years ago or 300 years ago, denying that he's not a Chinese. There's a lot of Chinese overseas. You can see Chinese in Malaysia, a lot of Chinese in Malaysia here. So they came here different ways. Some were brought by the UK government. Some run from China misery at that time. So, but they will never say they are not Chinese, even though they are Malaysian. And you can see a lot of Indian in South Africa. You can see them in, I think you can see a lot of Indian in Madagascar also, and some island in Africa there. But they will never say they are not Indian. They're always happy to say they are Indians, even though some of them um, were forced to leave India by the UK government at that time. But they will never say they are not Indian. They have their differences with the other Indian in the mainland, and same with the Chinese. A lot of white people also live in Africa. They were there for a long time. We can take the South Africa example. They are still white and they are still calling themselves European, you know. But the only people that are refusing to accept that they are African is this, my brother and sister in America. You believe that you are not African. So if you are not African, I want to ask you a question. So who are you then? What can you be if you are not African? You cannot be two things. You can only be one thing. The story about you are being African American is just something that these white people used to bluff you guys, because there is no such thing that you a human being two things. You can only be one thing. Either you're African or you're European or you are Asian. You cannot be two. But yeah, you can adapt yourself with other people culture because you live there. You can have their citizenship, or maybe your grandparents were there for so long. You become a descendant for 400 years, but it doesn't change anything, because let me tell you something. We African also, we live in Africa in different countries, but before that, our forefathers, they don't live. For example, I'm from Togo, but my grandfather, they were not born in Togo. So they were born somewhere else. So I can say that, no, so because they are born somewhere else, for that reason, I would deny the fact that, oh, now I'm being in Togo. But it doesn't make me seeing other people differently. I believe that we are all the same. So let me come back to my topic. So because you guys were long time taken by Africa, so you believe that you are no longer African. My friend, you are African. Before you become American, you were African first. You cannot be two things. You can only be one thing. Let me tell you the truth. Either you accept being African, or you find another race and put it on yourself. You are just African. African is African. So you must be African first before you become anything else. So if you are saying that you are not African, so I don't know how to call you. You don't wait for people to give you names from black to African American, for whatever. Just accept it. You are African, but you live in the US. So for me, I don't see any difference between you guys and us. Some of you guys believe that you are even fairer than African. But Africa is not just an homogeneous thing. So you have to go there and see. Some of African are very fair and better looking than you guys. But I'm just trying to explain to you that because I'm very tired of this stupidity that a lot of guys are saying, no, we are not African. So, what is very difficult about being African, and why are you guys ashamed to be African? For me, I'm African. I love to be African, and thanks to those guys that believe in Africa, and some of you that love Africa and they accept their African identity. For those that still playing those baby thinking, believe that they are not African, please remember you are African first before you become anything else.